Hey everybody, Omar here, the Knife Shark Guy. I'm back because I forgot to show you another custom knife that I own. So to make up for it, I'm going to do a special video on this gentleman here. This guy, I actually know him on Instagram. We've spoken on Instagram before. I want to be very careful when I say I know the guy. Basically, I talked to him on Instagram. So there you go. The gentleman that makes this knife, he is a beginning knife maker. This is the knife that he's known for. It's a really unique piece. It resembles more of a tool than a custom piece, but it's a great custom piece, in my opinion. The knife is all titanium. It's got this sort of sand-like texture to it. Perfectly centered. Very smooth. It runs on Teflon washers. Right? You can open it with the hole like I did, right? You can also open it with the flipper, which works really well. Like I said, the knife runs on Teflon washers, and that's actually proof that the knife maker doesn't have the financial means. When they're starting out, they use the cheap. The only thing that they use that's not as expensive is the washer system inside. They're Teflon washers, but I believe, in my opinion, Teflon washers are very underrated. Not a lot of people use them, and they should, because they're great. Teflon washers are great. They don't break. They're very flexible. They'll last a really long time. And the smoothness on Teflon washer knives, when it's done well, is done really well. The gentleman that made this knife, his name is Pieter Swanepole. It's actually spelled Pieter, P-I-E-T-E-R, but you pronounce it Peter. And his last name is Swanepole. You can see it right there, right on the knife. I've done a video on this knife before, but I just wanted to go over it again because I do love it. This is made completely by hand as well. And this knife doesn't have a lot of bling on it, right? But it's still a custom knife, just in the sense that it was made by hand, made by one guy, as opposed to a production knife, where they put those things where, a knife maker usually might get with a major company like Benchmade or ZT, and they come up with a design, that can be made on the machines that Kershaw has, or the machines that Benchmade has, and they pump out those knives one by one by one. This is a perfect example of what it would be like if just one guy made a knife from start to finish. In other words, just the basics, not a lot of bling on it. As you can see, the back spacers got these ridges in them. Those are filed down by hand. Peter is still in the learning process. One of the things that really got me about his knives is this design that he's created. It is just absolutely amazing. I don't think I've ever seen a knife design quite like this. It's very, very thin. But it feels really great in your hand. I mean, the ergos on it feel just fantastic. You don't think that that's something really big, but obviously your two fingers fit very nicely in here. There's no hot spots on this knife. Just a really well-made piece. And I just love it. It's very, very smooth. Very smooth. He's well known, in my opinion, for his lockups. Look at that. The lockup on this piece, if you can get the camera in there, it's practically at right around 95%. I mean, that is insane. You're not going to find any blade play on this. I mean, you'd have to basically pound this thing with a rock to get it to have blade play. That's how well made this knife is. So when you catch a knife maker at this stage of their career, you're always going to want to support them because they're getting the basics right. Because for all of us that love knives and use knives on a daily basis, carry knives and are real knife fans, nothing annoys us more than not getting the basics correct. And Peter gets it. I mean, like I said, I've never seen a lockup like that, where it's so close. This knife runs on South African knives. or AfricanKnives.com. It runs for about $7. Is it? I'm sorry. I'm trying to think. I think it's $5.85 for this piece. Yeah. The blade is N690 Bowler. It's very, very rustic design. It's what's called an acid wash. Not to be mistaken with the black wash knife, but this is acid wash. Gives it that real rustic look, which I love because it looks like you found it in the dirt with salt water all over it, and and just sharpened it down, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. This is definitely a piece made for hard use, no doubt about it. So again, it's a custom piece, but very well done, very simply done, just like the Andre Van Heerden piece I've got. The similarities between these two is that they're both customs, but they're just tools. It runs on the idea that less is more for a custom knife. It doesn't necessarily have to have Timascus. It doesn't have to have a glow-in-the-dark backspacer. How about the idea of a guy making a knife by hand from start to finish? An awesome tool to use. How about that? That's another reason to get into customs. I mean, if you're tired of the blade play, you could actually make a whole collection out of knives that are very basically made, but that are customs, like this. I have no doubt that I'm probably going to scope out knives like this while I'm collecting my customs. Highly recommend it. Because they're still one of a kind, and yet they may not be fancy, but Jesus, the lockup, the smoothness, all the things that we love to see, on a production piece, on a custom knife, when it's made completely by hand, the knife maker that made the knife practically guarantees it, and that alone is worth the money. So, Pieter Swanepole, new knife maker in town. From South Africa, still learning. I talked to him on Instagram. He's actually making me a front flipper. A blue front flipper that looks similar to this, and which is what I really want. I don't like him to, alleviate from the norm. If I'm going to collect on knife makers' knives, I like him to be what he loves, what he can do at his best. And the Evolver, in my opinion, is his best work so far, because we don't know where this knife maker is going to go, right? He may just decide to, I think I'll just make basic, simple knives, and that's just going to be my thing. Or he might do the whole Erucus Bloomerus thing, where every piece of the knife has got the bling and it's got the no blade play and all that other, stuff that we hope to have. And, gotta do that when I open it. So yeah, we don't know where a knife maker is going to go, but they always start out making the basics, and then they move up and up and up and up, because for them it's a learning process, just like for you as a collector, it's a learning process. So there you have it, Pieter Swanepole frame lock. This is also the only frame lock knife I own in my collection at the moment. Name of the piece is called the Evolver. You can look it up. You can Google it if you want. Look him up. You can also check him out on Instagram. I believe he's under Swanepole, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's under Swanepole. You can look for him on Instagram. You can take a look at his knives, take a look at his work. You can talk with him. I talk with him all the time. He's a real sweet guy, real nice guy, a very, very humble knife maker. Really is not, he's very well aware that he's got a lot to learn, and he constantly tells me that whenever I do video, please don't hype me up to be some sort of god or anything, and I try not to, but I own one of his knives, so what can you do? So there you go, Pieter Swanepole, my final custom in my piece. I'm sorry that I missed him with the other 8, but at least I gave him some special attention there because he's brand new. So this is Omar the Knife Shark Guy signing off on my shortest video yet. I'm going to really try and keep it down because I know people don't want to watch videos that are 30 minutes long. So this is Omar the Knife Shark Guy signing off. Get yourself one of these Evolvers. Check him out on Instagram. His name is Pieter Swanepole. And this is Omar the Knife Shark Guy signing off, hoping you'll find one of these beauties in your collection. Thanks so much and have a fantastic evening.